Good morning. I'm Blake Edwards. I'm going to talk to y'all today about user stories and personas. So that's my research topic. It actually says discuss through example the application of user stories and personas as part of a software acquisition pathway programs. So one that I remember was back in 2010 when the depot I worked at, we had to transition from a standard depot system, SDS, to LMP, the Logistics Modernization Program. So in doing that, the first thing we done was we grabbed all this data from SDS and put it on spreadsheets and then sent it up to a contractor, CSC, to put that data into LMP. Then you had to work eras and then go back and forth to get that data ready for your launch. We launched 10/10 of 2010, so 10/10/10. But during that, after that, we had these things called design reviews, and that was to further enhance the capabilities of LMP. LMP was something the Army bought off the shelf. They wanted an enterprise system so that they could see all the depots and commands all in one system. So here's my agenda today. I'm going to talk about the impact on logistics support, the risk mitigation summary, and then references. So the impact on logistics support was we bought something that was just off the shelf. So that was the user story. You were kind of stuck to whatever the software gave you. The design reviews was to make it more of a persona approach. So we personalized some of the transactions. So any of the transactions that start with the letter Z are personalized to the depots. Each depot was different on what they really needed from an impact standpoint. Some were, I worked at the Anniston Army Depot. We did tracked vehicles, so our vehicles stayed on the ground. Corpus Christi, they do helicopters, so all their vehicles left the ground, which is a whole different avenue of safety. But LMP didn't have the capability to get down to the mechanic, machinist, welder level in order to timestamp when that person done that assembly, disassembly, testing. So later on in the years down, we got into CAMS as sort of the shop floor module that works with LMP through a MII tool. But that CAM system would actually give you a snapshot times date stamp, and by your CAC card give you a CAC ID, and then you can just refer that back to an actual person. But in between CAMS and LMP, you didn't have a system to do that, so you just sort of had to handle it offline. So my first topic, we're going to talk about the impacts on logistics support. I know it looks backwards, but that's our first topic. So with anything like this software, it's cost and time. That's our biggest logistics impacts. Is if I'm wanting to make a change, that change has got a cost and it's got a time associated with it. How long is it going to take them to put in that modification? And then you have these priorities of priorities 1 through 5. And if it's a 5, well then heck, it's way on the back burner. All these priority 1s, based on the cost, the Army decides what they want to fund. What's going to give them the biggest bang for the buck. So that was our 2 impact on logistics support. I'm going to say cost and time. Now our next topic, our next 2 topics we're going to talk about is risk and risk mitigation. So the topic of risk for this situation was you really need butts in the seats, hands on keyboard, learning the system. We had training, but the training, we didn't know what our roles were going to be, so it was very vague. It covered a bunch of roles. So then when she finally got assigned a role, I became a supervisor, master data chief. So I had to train all my folks. I had to write letters of instructions, standard operating procedures, update how-tos, go-bys, just for my employees. And and anyone else in the future that's going to be in that role. So then once we did that, we were able to do better training, more specific to their actual roles. So for risk mitigation, I would say the best way to get after a risk is just, like I said, butts in the seat, time on keyboard, time in the system, to actually get to know what it is you like, dislike. The design reviews, the personas I was talking about, is once you get into these transactions, they give you the ability to set up your own layout. So that's more of a persona approach, because you can tailor that transaction to just what you want to see. It may give you 80 different headers, and you only need to see these 10 specific ones. And then obviously you can name your layout, and every time you go in the system, there's your layouts waiting and ready for you. So to summarize this, we are still using LMP today. And it works with CAMS. The CAMS is the shop floor side of it. As far as I know, it's sort of successful. I've heard them talk about another software system that they may go to in the future. S4 HANA, that's what it's called. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. And then for my references, when I first read this research topic, I wasn't sure what the heck a user story, what are they saying that means in personas. So the user story has to, it really has to just answer 3 questions. Who wants the functionality? What is it they want and why they want it? And I got that off a guy named Chris Hay from YouTube. It's called Persona Stories versus User Stories in Agile Software Delivery. Another guy I listened to was Jeff Gotthelf, and he discusses the mind of the product, lean, agile, and design thinking. He covers 10 principles of that a software approach needs to take. And then actually I went to the Adaptive Acquisition Framework, DAU link to see just about the software piece of it. So that's my story, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Any questions? Y'all have a good day.